But my baby is fully Peppa Pigged right now. She does not want to talk about Sesame Street. Although last night before bed, I didn't tell my wife this yet, but last night before bed, she started telling me an outlandish series of lies. She said, "Daddy, I saw Elmo today." And I said, "Oh, did you saw Elmo today on the TV?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Where did you see Elmo?" And she said, "In my room." And I said, "Did mommy see Elmo?" And then she very deftly said, "No." And I was like, okay, because I could have cross-referenced that pretty quickly. And then I said, did, like she was holding an elephant stuffed animal. I was like, "Did elephant see Elmo?" And she was like, "Yes." And I was like, damn, she's good. Then I said, "What did Elmo say?" And she said, Elmo's song. And I was like, great answer. For anybody that's not familiar, Elmo on Sesame Street sings a song that goes, "This is the song, la 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 la, Elmo's song. La 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 la, la 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 la, Elmo's song. La la la, la 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 la." It's a good one. And every time it comes up on Spotify, it pisses me off. Because Elmo sings a whole verse like that, right? It's all just la 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 la. Big Bird's there too. He goes, "Let me try. This is the song, la 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 la." Big Bird's song, and then I swear to God, Snuffleupagus goes, "It worked." And I'm like, yeah, of course it works. It's the same. It's just the la 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 la. Oh, it's the same damn words. Of course it works, Snuffleupagus, you idiot. This is the song, la 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 la, Snuffy's song. I like it. Anyway, apparently it's like, I know how this sounds, but it's like a good, it's a good sign when a toddler is able to lie. It's like indicative of a milestone in their social development. This is like, I don't know, I mean, the greatest lie we ever told as a society is that, like, lying is bad. That the net effect of lying is probably good on society. Sometimes the truth is painful and is not worth experiencing depending on the severity of the situation. Like if your friend comes to you and they've already bought a dress and they say, "Do you like it?" What are you gonna say? No. They obviously like it. They already bought it. The barrier to them returning the dress, the only thing they're going to get out of it is store credit anyway. Nobody's going to give you a full refund for clothes in cash these days. Are you seeing the economy? You just say, "Wow, that looks great." Maybe it's a weird take, but I feel like in general, most lies are probably good. Like they probably produce a net positive effect on society. Your mother-in-law spends all afternoon cooking you a food. You eat it. It tastes bad. She says, "Do you like it?" You say, "Oh my God, it's so good." Why would you tell the truth in that situation? Some situations you should tell the truth. A lot of situations you should tell the truth. Many situations you should lie. That's at least my take on it. If you lie, if you tell the truth, maybe she'll cook better next time. That's a very naive look, I think. Once someone hits like 25, what you see is what you get, man. Nobody's like... The only thing you're gonna do is turn somebody into an enemy instead of a friend. So, you know, in this mother-in-law situation, my mother-in-law is like 63 years old. If she cooked me something and it didn't taste good, and then I said like, "Oh, it tastes horrible," the only thing I'm going to do is hurt her feelings. It's not like she's going to be like, "Thank you for your prompt and honest feedback, Redditor. I'm going to enroll in a cooking class immediately in order to solve this perceived problem with my life because I got fucking nothing else going on ever." So I really appreciate I understand that life, basically the pursuit of life is to just constantly be ironing out your flaws at all times and never actually have time to enjoy yourself. So I appreciate you adding another thing onto my already incredibly cramped to-do list. No, you psycho. You just say, "Wow, this is really good." And you move on. Yeah, you honestly like say thank you for making me food. It's a vibe to not be having to cook for myself. Wow, this is really good, but next time, why don't you add more salt? So my mother-in-law, born and raised in Korea, moved to Canada when she was in her 40s. She cooks me some Korean food for lunch. And then me, a white guy, lived 1 year in Korea, takes one bite, and I'm gonna be like, maybe a little more gochujaro next time. You listen to yourself for like 2 fucking seconds? That's insane. I'm not gonna do that. I think you need to add more melchi next time. You just say, that tastes delicious. Thank you so much. And then what do you do if she cooks it for you again? You fucking eat it and say, wow, that's really good. Because you're like an adult. Maybe you gotta eat that shit like once every 8 months for the next 20 years. If it bothers you that much, you just eat as much as you can, and then you go to McDonald's drive-thru on the way home. Welcome to adulthood, motherfucker. Strap in, you got like 60 years of this shit. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You go around telling the truth to everybody. You trying to speed run adulthood? I wish you the best of luck. Let me know how that works out for you. Sometimes people do want to hear the truth. Well, here's my take, okay? You're at your friend's house. She pulls a dress out of her closet and says, "What do you think of this?" That's amazing. You have such a great eye for fashion. You're clothes shopping with your friend. She steps out of the dressing room wearing the very same dress. She says, "What do you think of this?" You go, I'm not sure it really is a good fit for you. I think we should keep looking. It's all about you got to look at the situation. Why lie in the first situation? I can only take this question as sincere, so I'm going to answer it sincerely. Someone who has already purchased the product and is excited to show it off to you probably does not want your honest feedback because they've already purchased the product for themselves. What they want you to do is to make them feel better about the purchase itself and say, wow, you made a great decision. Depends on if you can return it. You guys aren't going to make it. I'm just... Just take good advice, okay? Not everything is an invitation to argue the edge case, okay? People argue edge cases as if they're the base case. And then they think about the base case as if it's the edge case. It's actually relevant? It's literally relevant, which is what's just annoying. Is that there's it's not functionally relevant at all unless you're the kind of person who has arguments with your friends, and that's let me guess, you all wear suits to your freshman year lectures, and then you all go out to the campus pub together and order chocolate milks. But most people, there's a certain repartee that comes with social interaction. And it's, I assert something, maybe I'm complaining about something that happened in my life, or maybe I'm saying this is the way the world is, or something like that. And then the other person says, true, that's pretty true, unless it really violates their moral standards of how they see the world. And then they, having validated my assertion, then they go, hey, here's my assertion about something else. And then I go, you know what? Because you validated my assertion earlier, I'm going to validate your assertion now, because I know how good that can feel. And I think that's the spirit of most human interaction. Okay, this is going a bit too far. Okay, then stop asking about it. This is not how normal conversations go. It's not one person speaking to 10,000 people and then fielding 1,000 bad faith questions from chat designed to tilt everybody. Usually, one person would just say something. Everybody else would be like, okay, I either agree with that and say I agree with it, or I disagree with that and say, well, maybe. And then we move on. We just wait for the bacon-wrapped scallops to show up. And then if I'm like, these bacon-wrapped scallops are so good, and then somebody in the circle at the Democratic nominee party is like, I actually don't think they're that good. I think these are pretty mid. I would be like, okay, would you like an autograph? You seem to be a fan of mine. Did you really come here to argue? This is politics, man. We're not here to argue. We're here to bump elbows. Well, maybe is the IRL -2. True. I use well, maybe a lot. That's fair. That's fair is another good one. I guess. I guess is another one. That's crazy. While I agree in principle, no, I would never say that. That seems to open up a more robust conversation I have no interest in. I mean, I really don't have an interest in arguing, and I think that most people will get here at a point in their lives if they're living right. I really don't have an interest in arguing with anybody about anything ever anymore. I think I have reached the point in my life where, like, I would, if it seemed like I would have 2 arguments with a friend over the rest of my existence being their friend, I would probably not want to be friends with them. Even if we were close, if I saw 2 arguments brewing on the horizon in the next 10 years, I would probably be like, we're just not going to talk that much. Life's too short, man. Big minus 2. Maybe it's different strokes for different folks. I just feel like life's too short for an argument. You've never had a fun argument before? Well, I don't know, when I was like 13. But now I feel like there's like 25% of society is just out there baiting arguments constantly. Like it's, oh man, I had a really good chicken sandwich today. Oh really? Where was it from? Oh, this one was from the Down Low Chicken Shack. Oh, do you think that the Down Low Chicken Shack sandwich is better than the one that you get at Ojai Nashville down on Robson Street? I don't know. I've never been to Ojai this is down on Robson Street. And at the same time, have you ever had the Beyond Chicken at A&W? How do you feel like that compares? And I'm like, I just can't. I don't know, man. I just wanted to tell you about my chicken sandwich and have you be like, that sounds good. But now all of a sudden you're asking me how I feel about antibiotic raised factory farm chickens from Popeyes. And I'm like, I'm not having fun anymore. That's boring. That's fine, man. I mean, I think that's the weird thing. Like, the only kinds of arguments that are good are actually big arguments about real things. You know, ethics and morals and values and stuff like that. But that's not what people want to argue about. Like, that's the sort of stuff where you can actually figure out, like, where people stand and if your friendship, like, has a future. But people want to argue about, like, dumb shit, like, that is completely inconsequential. Like food and fucking, like, what kind of ice cream is the best? Does mint chocolate chip, is mint chocolate chip an invalid ice cream flavor because it's the same flavor as my toothpaste? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe because I spent like 8 years doing that every day with the veneer of artifice on top of it, that shit's like annoying as hell now. I can't do that anymore. It's like if you put a hockey stick in Wayne Gretzky's hands, he probably wouldn't even know what to do with it anymore. I think like a real argument sometimes can be important. It's the simulatory arguments I have no time for anymore. You never like disagree with your friend about a movie or something? Well, like, I don't know, Malf and I, we have discussion. I don't know, would you call it an argument? If he says, I watched Ready to Rumble again this weekend, and I say, I finally watched that, and it's like I thought it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. That's not like an argument. That's just two people telling the truth at each other. That's definitely an argument? Okay, never mind. Maybe I love to argue then.